Hey guys, just wanted to show you some of my Star Wars collection and also talk a bit about why I love Star Wars. I grew up in the late 1990s into the early 2000s. Didn't know a lot about Star Wars at the time when it came out. I'd only ever watched Empire Strikes Back numerous times because it was my first Star Wars movie. But as the franchise moved along and as I grew older, I went and saw Attack of the Clones for the first time in theaters. Around 2002, I went and saw Star Wars Attack of the Clones in theaters, and it was my first ever Star Wars movie in theaters because I, for some reason, can't remember why my parents never took me to see Phantom Menace in theaters. They probably weren't wanting me to have to deal with the satanic side of Star Wars, but at the end of the day, Star Wars is just a fantasy sci-fi franchise. So I'm not going to deny my love for Star Wars. What I will say is, I am not a Disney shill. I liked at least Kylo Ren's character when it came to the sequel trilogy. And I watched Star Wars Rebels enough when I was a bit older to understand that it was a good show and canonically it fit in the universe. Even if it did take some stories from the EU. So, what I will tell you is this. I'm not a fan of the Disney sequel trilogy, despite the fact that I have Supreme Leader Kylo Ren right here. But I will tell you I am a fan of the Mandoverse. And while Star Wars has had really bad storytelling over the several years that Disney has owned it, and they've messed it up, I will say that I am not a fan of how they treated Luke Skywalker in the sequel trilogy. And then they had the audacity to announce Star Wars The New Jedi Order, which I pray and hope gets canceled. I pray and hope it gets canceled. Whether it's going to, I don't know. But even if it does show up in theaters, it's going to be a huge smack in the face to everyone that has read New Jedi Order or has at least heard about how Luke started the New Jedi Order. And as said right here, I also have Star Wars The New Republic volumes 1 to 7. 8th volume isn't out yet. Now, I'm not good with these types of videos, and I'm still a decent YouTuber who has a long way to go when it comes to making better quality videos, but I have to make do with what I have. Now, what I will say is, right here, something that Star Wars failed to work on, thanks to the likes of Kathleen Kennedy, Lucasfilm, and Disney in general, is they already had a female protagonist right here in the name of Gina Solo, the daughter of Han and Leia in Star Wars Legends continuity. And then, if anything, Ben Solo is a combination of both Ben Skywalker and Jason Solo. So if they wanted to do an adaptation of the Legacy of the Force and New Jedi Order in canon, here you go. Jaina Solo could have faced off against her brother Ben Solo, aka Kylo Ren. But missed opportunity right there. Instead it had to be Rey Palpatine versus Kylo Ren, aka Ben Solo. Now don't even get me started on how bad Disney did Gina Carano dirty, and the fact that they fired her, and the fact that the plans that Jon Favreau had for her got laid to waste. So, rumor that I heard was, this is just a rumor, so take it with a grain of salt. Apparently, Cara Dune was not only going to be a relative of Leia Organa Solo, so that would make her at least of Alderaanian royal descent, alongside Leia Organa Solo, as Leia had a sister or an adoptive sister in Star Wars Legends continuity named Winter. Cara Dune was also going to be trained as a Jedi by Luke Skywalker. Now, as I said, I can't follow the validity of this rumor, as it's just a rumor. If somebody wants to state a fact to me about it, and its legitimacy, go ahead. But to me, Star Wars is about Luke Skywalker. And it's about the Skywalkers in general. I am not a fan of how Luke was treated in The Last Jedi. I went and watched the sequel trilogy movies when they were coming out in theaters because I'm like, hey, Star Wars is back. No, Star Wars has only gone further down the drain ever since. But the likes of Rogue One and Solo: A Star Wars Story which only got the bad hype it got because it lost money at the box office, and it came out 6 months after the failure of The Last Jedi that Rian Johnson decided to take a huge pile of dump on people. I'm sorry, I just can't accept the fact that the Mandoverse is supposed to lead to the sequel trilogy, and it still makes Luke a failure. To me, him starting the new Jedi Order with Ahsoka Tano and Ezra Bridger would make sense. Cal Kestis would come in after the Jedi trilogy of video games. And, by the way, still not a fan of how they made Sabine a Jedi in the Ahsoka series, but she was a Mandalorian, so she knows how to deal with lightsabers. They could have just left her as it is, but no, they had to pull a Palpatine, Mary Sue, and make her a Jedi. So, unfortunately, it is what it is. I've come to accept that fact, but other than that, I don't think Star Wars has much of a future with the sequel trilogy still being involved. Even if they try to reboot the franchise, it's going to take a long time to get there, as WDW Pro, and as Marvin the Movie Monster has said, as well as Valiant Renegade. So, I don't expect people to understand. Yes, I have some of these characters that I've collected over the years as Black Series figures, because I'm a fan of what happens after the Return of the Jedi in Legends continuity. I love the New Republic, but the problem is Star Wars is going down a really dark path, and the fact that Kathleen Kennedy still has a job makes me question the legitimacy of, can we ever get any good Star Wars ever again? Because it seems the Galactic Fempire is still ruling. So, yeah. Whether Kathleen Kennedy leaves Lucasfilm by the end of October, since her contract's now up at the end of this month, that'll be up for debate. But I'm thinking of doing a Star Wars What If series where I show the figures and I talk about what could have been. But, as said, to me, they gotta get rid of the High Republic. They gotta get rid of the sequel trilogy. The Acolyte is a complete and utter failure. And Star Wars is just in a really bad situation. Can it come back eventually? I'm sure it can. But until then, it is what it is. I'm not a Disney shill. In fact, I'm not happy of how Star Wars Explained, Kyle Katarn, the YouTube account, not the character from Star Wars Legends himself, and other YouTubers tried to take down the likes of Star Wars Theory and Geeks and Gamers and Ryan Cannell of RK Outpost, Nerderotic, and a few others. I have nothing but respect for Ryan Cannell of RK Outpost, Geeks and Gamers, Jeremy of Geeks and Gamers, Nerderotic, Star Wars Theory, and Stupendous Wave, and anyone else that was affected by that entire scandal. I'm not a Star Wars YouTuber. I want to be a multi-subject person that talks different kinds of subjects on YouTube eventually. So we'll see where that goes. But just giving my 2 cents here. And as said, I think Star Wars can still have a bright future ahead once Kathleen Kennedy and the Lucasfilm Story Group and all those woke activists who only care about telling their he, him, they, them, she, her pronouns are gone. Star Wars ain't going to get any better anytime soon, but at least there's been some hit and misses between Star Wars series and books and video games. So, not a fan of Star Wars Outlaws. I might give that a playthrough in the future, but right now I don't have any plans to get it. I am just going to imagine what if they allowed the continuation of things after Return of the Jedi. Luke Skywalker could build his new Jedi Order with the help of Ahsoka Tano, Ezra Bridger, Sabine Wren, Cal Kestis, and then he would eventually meet Mara Jade. And then, of course, Han and Leia would go on to have Jaina Solo, who is their daughter from Legends. And then I'm fine with having Ben Solo still involved. Whether he turns to the dark side in my what if scenario, different story, but we'll see what happens. But, and the fact that Gina Carano could have been trained as a Jedi by Luke, and she could have been his first student instead of Ben Solo, aka Kylo Ren. They had a chance to retcon the sequel trilogy. They're not going to do it anytime soon, if ever. So until that happens, until Star Wars is completely soft rebooted, in my opinion, I mean, here's the thing. Cut out the Acolyte, cut out the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, cut out the Tales of the Empire, cut out the High Republic. There are still aspects of the High Republic I like, so that can stay. But you need a complete redo before Tales of the Jedi and after the Mandoverse. I'm sorry, there's just nothing you can build upon. They are coming out with the Mandalorian and Grogu. There's rumors of it becoming a trilogy. And on top of that, we still have that live-action Mandoverse movie that I don't have a lot of faith in when it comes to Dave Filoni, because he's the chief creative control officer over at Lucasfilm. So, yeah. Good luck with that, Dave. Hope you're willing to have Jon Favreau help you out, because he seems to care about wanting to keep Star Wars afloat, but I don't agree with the aspect of wanting to keep the sequel trilogy intact, because it completely destroys everything that Luke, Han, Leia, and the New Republic fought for, only to be destroyed 30 years later. That's my take. Y'all have a great day. If y'all want to see more videos, I'll do the best I can. Eventually, I'll have the setup to where I can try to make more videos and do better graphics and everything, but for the time being, this is just the start of something beginning. Y'all have a great day. God bless, and may the Force be with you.